What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to discuss if Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7 will be better than The Mandalorian. So depending on when you guys are watching this, it could be a few hours, it could be just a few minutes, it could be already out. Star Wars The Clone Wars comes out extremely soon from the time I'm recording this. I'm recording this the day before, only 2 days away for me. We'll be having videos going up on Friday talking about Episode 1 of The Clone Wars. So if you guys are interested in Clone Wars content, consider subscribing. Consider hitting that bell because we will be covering Clone Wars quite a bit every single week when these episodes are out and even in between, depending on what there is basically to say about it. But I wanted to do this, again, like the day before the first episode comes out. I think obviously excitement is at a very high, it's kind of peaked right at this point. I think we're at the highest point we can be because this is it. We're only a little bit away from the episode releasing. And while it may be just like an introductory, like, oh, good to see everybody back in the animated, realm. It's even been a long time since Rebels, or I guess if you've watched Resistance, then we've had animated stuff for the last little while, but this is it. And one of the biggest questions I have is, we're in the Star Wars era. I don't think it's a big stretch to say this, that the shows are vastly better than the movies. I mean, look, say what you want about this trilogy. I really liked Force Awakens. If you guys have been with us for our Star Wars content over the last several years, you'll know our opinions on The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. But when it comes to The Mandalorian, I mean, did excitement for what it kind of was get in the way of maybe its actual quality? I think we kind of graded it on a curve for a while. I think a lot of people graded it on a curve. There were some actual phenomenal, just baseline phenomenal episodes, but then even some that we could consider a little weaker. I think we kind of just gave them the benefit of the doubt because, hey, they're trying to capture old-time Star Wars. They're doing things right. These guys really care. They're really putting all of their passion into this. And so even though there were, I'd say, a couple weak episodes, maybe 2 or 3 out of 8, there were actually a lot of really good episodes. I was considering ranking them, but I never ended up doing that. But when it comes to Clone Wars, again, my question is, well, firstly, I think we can safely assume that it's at least going to be good, that it'll, again, capture the actual fans, the people that will actually watch this, people that do care about Star Wars. Again, they have people working on this that really do care. Not to say JJ doesn't, not to say, what happened, that they don't actually care, but it's just different. It just flat out is different. And I think if there is a level of caring, these guys do care a little bit more, or maybe probably a lot more. But a fun little rivalry because at this point, hey, we're getting loads of Star Wars content. I mean, just in this year, going back to late last year, we had Mandalorian, we have Star Wars Clone Wars. This fall, this October, we have Mandalorian Season 2. The Cassian Andor show is filming this year, so I would assume that comes out next year. The Obi-Wan show films next year, so that would probably come out the following year. So there's going to be lots, and that's not even assuming that there probably will be an Ahsoka spin-off show or a Rebel sequel or whatever they're going to end up doing. So there's a lot of Star Wars programming going on with television, and I think there's just always been something so special with Clone Wars. Now, Clone Wars went through a lot of ups and downs. That is for sure. I mean, that's absolutely for sure. I think right now, looking at it, hindsight 2020, if you look back at the whole thing, a lot of people will say, Clone Wars is amazing, it's spectacular, you have to watch it. It was pretty dicey for a while. I'd say about halfway through Season 3, the show decided, hey, we're going to stop, being on the edge of being, super kid-friendly and, having these really weird episodes that are pretty weak overall. We're going to stop that nonsense, and we're just going to make the greatest thing you've ever seen. And they did. I mean, there were still some weaker things, and Season 6 obviously had its problems, mainly because it was just, leftover episodes. But really, halfway through Season 3, the show completely, in my opinion, flipped around and became amazing. Now, I'd say the best episodes of Clone Wars are, I would say it right now, I'll tell you, I think, in my opinion, just my opinion, they're better than the best episodes of Mandalorian. Now, I love Mandalorian to death, and I think everybody would say, Baby Yoda's incredible, everybody's incredible. I mean, Baby Yoda is literally kind of, surpassed anything, has kind of, become this, godlike figure, which is totally cool. You could argue Baby Yoda is better than, anything we've gotten in Clone Wars. I'd say, episode for episode, the best of Clone Wars, I think, beats the best of Mandalorian. And now when it comes to Season 7, I mean, this is it, right? Coming back, finishing it up the way they wanted to finish it up, having all of these really, really cool plot lines that they're going to be doing in this season. Can this beat what we got with Mandalorian? I would say yes. I'd say it should be better than The Mandalorian, and I would tell you that I'm now again, I'm not going to say like, okay, episode 1 comes out. I'm not going to say, well, here's where it ranks in the midst of The Mandalorian. I really think I feel that way about these shows. It's more or less like when the season's over, you look at it and you say, okay, did I enjoy that more? Was that a better overall product than The Mandalorian? And I really hope it is. I don't hope it is because like Mandalorian is so bad that it's easy to beat. Not something like that. Mandalorian is really, really good, but, and I've talked about it in the past couple of weeks with Star Wars, or like Clone Wars specifically, they have such an amazing opportunity with this. Look, the prequels have been getting all of this love over the last couple years. I don't really know why. I really don't. I mean, I guess I've even kind of fallen into it because I've said myself, like, hey, I appreciate the vision and what George Lucas was trying to do, but I'll tell you my personal opinion is I still think those movies are absolutely garbage. Revenge of the Sith is easily the best one, and it's got some amazing moments, and I'll always love it. I was 10 years old when I saw it. Like, I'll always have just such good memories of it, but the movie, for the most part, is absolute garbage. And I'll tell you that now. I've watched it twice over the last couple months, and I still think that. There's really no changing my mind on that, but bottom line is what this show can do, especially with crossing over to Revenge of the Sith, honestly, the opportunities are endless. Like, and I've talked about it, they can make the weaker parts of the movie, they can fill it in, and they can just make it so much better. They can help the greatest parts of the movie, because I still think even what we've gotten from Clone Wars, right? Even Season 5, Season 6, if you want to count those episodes, I watched all of them. I rewatched them leading into this, and then I watched Revenge of the Sith. I think even that alone does an okay job of helping Revenge of the Sith a little. There are still moments in Revenge of the Sith, really because of the fact that movie came first and then Clone Wars came after, that they don't exactly line up, and you can't always, in fact, you can't most of the time even imagine that like these characters had experienced the events of Clone Wars, which sucks. And I think Clone Wars does a good enough job of making it believable that these characters would have gone through this stuff, but then you watch Revenge of the Sith, and I think some of the stuff just doesn't, you know what I mean? I don't know if I believe that Hayden Christensen's Anakin in Episode 3 had Ahsoka as a Padawan. I don't know if I can buy that like that happened. You know what I mean? And that's a really tough thing. That's a tough thing in general. But to be honest with you, like part of the reason I'm talking about this, the Clone Wars Season 7, is I think this is their chance to really take that next step, especially again with crossing over to Revenge of the Sith, to really take that next step and make it as fluid as humanly possible, like as close to as fluid as they can really make it. And I think because of that, again, just the fact that the show is coming out and the quality has always been so good and has continued to get better and better as those seasons went on, I expect Season 7 to be better than Mandalorian right off the bat. But also with the fact that it's going to cross over to a movie that, again, is getting a lot of love, and some people still consider it like their favorite or the best one. I don't know, or even like in the top 3. I don't know how you do any of those things, but people have, and you know, it's their opinion. Everybody, again, like I have fond memories of it. I could argue that like my enjoyment of it, I'd say my enjoyment of it back when I was 10 is better than any of the other movies. So I would say that. Looking at it now, I would say something different, but I could see how people have those opinions, and I think that's going to help. I really think that's going to help the Clone Wars, because they're going to be able to help out that movie. They're going to be able to reference that movie. They're going to be able, maybe even show literal, as we've seen, show literal scenes from that movie in the Clone Wars fashion. So I think people are going to be really, really excited. I'd be interested to know about like viewing numbers. Like, is it going to be more viewed than Mandalorian? Because it's not necessarily a popularity contest. I'm specifically talking about if it's going to just be better. Like, flat out, will we have the opinion at the end of the season that, yes, this was better than The Mandalorian? And again, like, it's a topic I did want to discuss. You could definitely stop the whole thing and just say, like, does it matter? And, I mean, not necessarily. If Clone Wars is super, like, very just solid, right? It's just a solid thing. We all enjoy it, and it's equal to Mandalorian or whatever, nobody's gonna, bat an eye. Everybody's gonna be like, you know what? 2 amazing Star Wars things happened over the past like half year. It's sad that the movie, the one that also actually came out in between these two things, it's sad that that couldn't do it as well, but at least we get 2 shows, and then Mandalorian Season 2 will hopefully be even better than Mandalorian Season. So it's not like a negativity thing. I'm not saying like, Mandalorian wasn't that good and I expect Clone Wars to easily beat it, but now we're used to it being at least pretty high in terms of quality, and we expect pretty good things, right? I think with The Mandalorian going in, there was a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of people worried about if it could actually be good, and even the first couple episodes weren't even that great, but they still, again, captured something where we were willing to, like, write it off, and then they got better and better, and there were some really good episodes sprinkled in between to keep us going. So, like, now we expect, like, okay, and even Clone Wars, again, because it's already an established thing, we expect it to be very, very good. And I honestly think it will be. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Clone Wars will be better than Mandalorian? Are you looking forward to it? What are you looking forward to? All those things, let me know in the comments below. Again, make sure you guys are liking this video, sharing this video, have that subscribe button hit, have the bell icon rung, all of that stuff. Tomorrow, we will be having a video on Clone Wars Episode 1, and then if there's stuff to talk about, we'll have videos in between each episode. We'll be talking about the episodes when they're out, either in a review or like an analysis or like theory kind of way. So there'll be Clone Wars content and Star Wars content whenever something happens Star Wars related, okay? So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.